Welcome to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, sponsored by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Owen Hayes. You're watching Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented to you by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Today is Sunday, August 2nd, and we've got an interesting show lined up for you. Now, yesterday you noticed that we were doing some pre-recorded shows. Today we got another great one for you with some new footage. We're going to get to that in a second. But don't forget, there's a Rods and Reels in Need sale that's coming up this upcoming weekend. So don't forget about that. Take advantage of that. That's July 31st through the 2nd. And really, really cool opportunity to really help out a great organization and get some really cool stuff, some stuff that you might not expect to find. Also, don't forget though, Les Schwab on Friday, August 7th, they have their sale their car wash that is going to benefit the Oregon City High School girls soccer program from 11 to 3. I mentioned this already before last weekend, I believe. But when you do go, get the car washed, of course, get your rig washed, but anything that needs to get done at Les Schwab, maybe set up an appointment for them, whatever you need to do. But get that stuff handled so that you don't have to deal with it as you're going through the rest of the summer. Now, we're also going to go ahead here and check out when I picked up my new Ram truck, and I've got some updates coming for that here very, very shortly, so make sure you pay attention to this. And of course, we've got some great footage for you as well from the Willamette, and you haven't seen that kind of footage from us for a while, so check it out. Very exciting day here at Outdoor GPS. I'm here at McMinnville Jeep and Ram for what? To pick up my new truck. I've been waiting for this for months, it seems like, and it's finally here. We finally have a chance to meet the folks from McMinnville Jeep and Ram. We're gonna meet Eric, the general manager, here in just a little bit when we get the chance to see the new Ram truck, the sponsored truck for Outdoor GPS. So don't go anywhere. We got a lot of info for you and a beautiful rig. Well, I guess we're gonna all find that out together. So let's go check it out and meet Eric. I'm here with Eric George. He's the general manager of McMinnville Jeep Ram, and I'm here to pick up my new Ram truck. Eric, dude, it's really nice to see you today.
Hey, thanks for coming down.
Number one, thank you for your support for Outdoor GPS. We really do appreciate that through the efforts of our sales force and you. This is gonna be a great partnership. It's great to be part of a dealership because we're gonna talk a lot about that going forward. But you gotta tell me about this truck, man.
2026 model year, Cummins diesel motor, 3/4 ton four-wheel drive. We already put 37s on it for you. We went with our in-house Ironman lift kit. You're gonna have no problem getting around.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's a number of things, as you know, we talked about this a while back when we were kind of configuring what I wanted to have. And I've got to have the right setup. We've talked about this in the past, right? With the 37s and a very mild lift that I would say. But again, Ironman, kind of an in-house thing.
Correct, all done here in-house, whether it be window tint, canopy, lift kit, exhaust, you name it, we've got it for you.
Well, we're gonna get to the canopy. This is one of the things that I thought was really interesting, and McMinnville Jeep and Ram can handle this for you when you come in and see them. But let's take a look around the front, because this is a lot different than what I've seen.
All new 26 model design for you, LED lights, blacked out grille, front parking sensors. It'll tell you if anybody's near you when you're getting close to a tree, whether you're backing down a boat ramp, wherever you're at.
Which is hugely important. It's not that I'm not paying attention when I'm driving, but when the truck can actually help you not make a mistake, that's a super advantage. But I love the look of it. It looks great.
Yeah, so this is, again, towing mirrors. If we open this door, power running boards will be coming out for you. Get you nice and clean before you step in.
Which is important, you know, because if you're wearing waders, you got your boots on, whatever it is, it's nice and easy to get in when you've got those power steps. You might not think a lot of it, but once you have it, it's something that you cannot live without. It's just that simple. And when you are off-road, there's nothing hanging below the truck itself to get hit, ripped off. I mean, there's a lot of things that are an advantage to those power steps. They're a lot more common.
That ground clearance is second to none.
Yeah.
It comes naturally if you don't lift it, but obviously sitting on 37s, you've got that additional height.
Yeah, and then smart cap, right?
Yeah.
Now this is something I've seen, but I've never actually had one myself. Windows pop open. We're gonna show you all this, of course, but there's a lot of advantages to this.
Yeah, A, from weight, B, from scratching and utility, C, for safety and protection of the gear that's inside of it.
Gotcha, and that's super important. You know, canopies are one of the things that some folks might overlook, but you put a lot of money into your gear. You wanna make sure that it's protected, dry, and my dog is with me everywhere that I go. and he'll be protected in here too. So that's one of the big features that I gotta have. All right, well, let's move around to the back. Of course, it's got full towing capability.
Yeah, so we have oversized towing hitch. Obviously, if you're pulling a sled or anything big, if you step up to the trailers, that's all gonna be taken care of for you. We have backup camera, we have backup sensors, LED lighting in the tailgate, as well as the accessibility step, we'll call it.
Which I need. I'm not nearly as cat-like as I used to be, so it's really, really nice when you can actually get in and out without having to hurt yourself. Not that it's ever happened, but it seems to happen all the time. Look at that. Nice quick button, drop the tailgate. And this is actually already set up for a fifth wheel.
It already has the fifth wheel prep group. As you notice, the soft open tailgate. So if you're out, dark 30 in the morning, boat ramp, woods, it's not gonna scare anything away from the loud bang that you used to get.
Which I really love. And it's easy to go up and down. It doesn't weigh anything. The way that they counterbalance it makes it super convenient. And it's nice and bright in here from the front to the back. And man, there's some really interesting stuff going on here with this canopy.
So this canopy will actually wick the moisture away. You also have your plugs if and when you're putting a different trailer on here.
Sure.
So you can go either in the bed or at the bumper.
Very cool. I'm really liking the idea of this canopy. It's just something I haven't seen before.
User functionality is second to none with SmartCap, and that's why they chose to be a sponsor.
And it looks like it's going to be waterproof.
It is.
Which is a big deal. Just from experience, let me tell you, having a nice dry interior, it's an advantage all by itself. Well, I can tell you first things first. My first impression is that with the body styles change in the front, it really looks good.
Sleek.
The color, I'm a huge fan of. I haven't seen it up close before, so that's gonna be very cool by itself. There's a lot of accessories, right, that are on here, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. We're gonna talk about what you can get done here at McMinnville Jeep and Ram when you come in and pick up your truck. The SmartCap is one of them, beautiful, obviously. But this is all the things that they can get done. Wheels, tires, and the lift itself.
Absolutely, all done here. Custom SmartCap for you. This one has the gold wing doors that do open for him.
Oh, that's really cool. Take a look at that.
Easy accessibility for anything that may be at the front of the cab. 37-inch tires, 20-inch wheels, suspension lift, all done here for him.
And that's in-house.
Absolutely, all my mechanics are trained. Everything can be done right here at the time of purchase or in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months after you buy it.
Okay, so they can come in, pick out the truck that they want, Jeep or Ram.
Correct.
And have upgrades done right through here, right through, all in the same process.
Same process, as well as the warranty that covers you from when you leave the store.
So is there any limitations on folks if they want to do stuff here? Can they get bumpers, winches, all that stuff too?
How about a supercharger if you want to go super fast? Yeah, we do it all.
He said supercharger. We'll talk about that later. Very, very cool though. I want to take a look at this interior though. We got to check all that out because it's different than what I've seen in the past.
It is a different body style, different interior, and it's going to be perfect for you.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be very interesting. And the new technology, some love it, some don't. I'm going to promise you right now that once you just jump with both feet in, you're going to love the technology in this 26 Ram. Let's go check that out. All right, Eric, we're in the truck, 2026. This is the Ram 2500 Laramie Edition. Take a look at the size of this thing. I'm gonna start it up for you. Actually, we're just gonna use the accessory. I'm not even gonna fire it up, but we'll take a look at how everything kind of gets started. And that is incredible.
Is that big enough for you?
Dude, I absolutely love this. I mentioned this earlier. That some folks can take or leave technology. It's 2026 for crying out loud. Just enjoy it. I mean, look at this thing. It's huge. You got your navigation, and then of course you can set up everything down here for your stereo or other accessories that you have, because you can really transform this to whatever it is that you want, right?
It's all personable, and it's all to what you want.
Right.
Whether you want to see your phone contact list, whether you have Apple CarPlay or Android, if you want your radio on, anything about the vehicle options and comfort. I can have my temperature set at 70, you can have it set at 72 or anywhere in between.
So you can do it all from the screen if you want, but you got your controls on the side. Set it up with just stereo and navigation if that's what makes you comfortable. You still have all the features down here if that's easier for you to utilize. Obviously a very clean dash, which I absolutely love. It just there's not a lot going on, and that's where a lot of trucks can get a little confusing because there's so much stuff going on that it's nice to kind of neck it down a little bit and move some of those other things over here to the side on the console. And then of course storage is always hugely important. You got a massive center console, multiple different levels, secret ones as well that are very, very cool. So again, all the features that you need to be comfortable in the truck and just to have everything in the rig that you need to have. Because I can promise you, Eric, once I get rolling, the back's gonna be full of gear. I'm gonna have all kinds of stuff in the bed of the truck, and that's why we own trucks. You don't have to have a truck, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's an advantage in a lot of situations. And we're gonna end up talking more about towing capability and stuff like that in the future, but this has just given us our first chance to see the interior of the 26 Ram. Super cool, man, and I love the steering wheel as well. Very, very nice. All right, Eric, you gave me a great rundown on my new truck to drive around for a while, and I can promise you I'm very excited, well, as you can tell. It's a 2026 Ram 2500 Cummins diesel, 8-speed tranny, which is a thing. I'm just telling you right now, it's a big thing. We'll get into that at some point in time, but I want to go fishing, okay?
I don't blame you.
Okay, it's raining right now, and that makes me excited to get out there, so it's nice to see you. Thanks for the walk around, but I'm heading out.
Hey, have a great rest of your day.
Hey man, thanks Eric. I really do appreciate your partnership with Outdoor GPS too.
We're excited for it.
Thanks, bud. All right, well, I'm leaving.
Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, sponsored by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
All right, well, you're watching our show Out on the Water, and you know that we don't typically get out on the water and do some filming. And there's a number of reasons for that. I'm an in-studio host, and I love that. But when I get the chance to come out in the boat and actually go out on the water and do a little bit of filming, I'm taking advantage of it. And today, well, it's my daughter's birthday. It's actually the 9th of July. And I know I'm not supposed to date stuff, but it's my daughter's birthday, so I'm gonna do it anyway. So happy birthday, Lana. We love you. But before the evening festivities kick off, I thought I'd come out for one last shot on the lower Willamette before things start to wind down. And it turns out that things are winding down relatively quickly. I've had really good success the last couple of weeks, but I'm gonna come out and start right where I left off a week ago when I did have some success on a couple of Chinook. So what I'm gonna do is very, very basic, and we've talked about this a lot, and pretty much everyone out here is doing that. We're gonna run 360s, and I'm gonna actually run a spinner, and I'm gonna run one spinner with shrimp on it and one spinner without. And all this stuff we're gonna be using all the way through September, right? We got fall Chinook season right around the corner, and this very late spring Chinook season again is winding down. So everything that I'm doing now, come August, when I get back from my little trip, I will be fishing the exact same way, pretty much. Maybe a little bit more stuffers. But right now, today, I'm gonna start out with 2 spinners. Again, one's gonna have shrimp and one's gonna be straight naked. So it'll be interesting to see. A couple of things though that we're gonna cover today. Primarily, one of my thoughts is I wanted to show everyone, because I get this question constantly, because I fish alone a lot. How do you actually become proficient doing all this stuff solo? Because there's obviously a lot going on, and then if you actually get lucky and get bit, then things get hectic in a hurry, all the way to where you actually put the fish into the net. So if everything works out, I'll be able to bookend this thing the right way with the fish being netted solo. But we all know with the camera in the boat, that might not happen, but I'm gonna give it my best attempt. I've got 2 rods to use today. You got a fishing license back there? I don't know, we might be able to get 3. But at the very least, that's what we're gonna talk a little bit about today. And along with that, the setup of the boat, which is another big question, how I like it set up to fish solo, right? Because you have to have everything positioned in such a way that when you do get bit, that you can get to that net and get positioned to actually land it and get it into the net, right? So not a lot of rocket science there. Big picture, get super lucky on the 9th of July and land the fish by yourself. And boat setup, how I actually have all my electronics put together, Raymarine all over the place. We're gonna talk a little bit about forward-facing sonar and how to use your standard sonars in conjunction with that forward-facing sonar. Because if you do it the right way, you can actually utilize both to be more effective. And we'll talk more about how this forward-facing sonar actually helps you catch more fish. And maybe even talk a little bit about how it might not help you catch more fish. But anyway, so follow along. We're gonna get ourselves set up, get the boat ready to go, and get out of here. And if you're wondering, we're here at Fred's Marina, where most folks are launching these days. But cross your fingers. Camera's in the boat. We'll see if we can pull it off. So here's where we are. One of the reasons, a lot of you already know I like to fish after everybody else, okay? I like making things as hard as I can on myself. Well, this morning, not so much. Again, I had things to do this morning, make daughter breakfast, this and that. But tides, right? We've talked about this a lot. There's a first light bite. Right now, with a water warm, late spring Chinook and summer Chinook that are in the system, remember, we're gonna be down close to the mouth, and you're gonna get a crossover of Willamette and Columbia fish, okay? So if it's not a first light bite, I mean like as soon as the sun starts to crack, it's around the tide changes. And this morning, it's what? 10:30 now. There's a tide change at 11:30, low tide. And then there's another tide change at 2:30. So it's a really quick tide set. So I'm gonna catch 2 tides. All right, so again, not the best time to get out here as far as getting out late, but if you can catch the tide changes the right way, and that could be a single tide change. I'm just getting lucky today and gonna catch 2 tide changes. So in about 4.5 hours, I'll be able to start with an hour before the tide change roughly, and then I'm gonna fish through that second tide change. And then hopefully I can get out of here with a couple of fish and beat traffic. We all know that's not gonna happen, but I'm gonna try. So we just ran out to the head of the channel. I don't wanna knock Frank, my camera guy, over, so we're just gonna start here, and I'm just gonna troll all the way down, just kind of see what's going on. And the way it's been this past week or two, or actually probably closer to 3 weeks, the head of the channel is still producing, but it seems like the deeper water has been producing more. And it could be for a number of reasons, but a lot of it might have to do with tide and of course temperature. And right now I'm getting 70 degrees, so it's certainly warm out here. But now I gotta get everything set up, right? So first things first, it's the kicker on the RK40, and I'm just gonna get myself in a position where I'm not gonna run into anything when I'm getting set up. And some might go, why aren't you using your bow mount? I love that thing. That thing is fantastic. But in this fishery with this amount of boats around here, I usually don't use the bow mount unless I get into more open areas where I don't have to worry about people really. And that's for 2 reasons. One, I'm not that great with it yet. And secondly, I have more control with the kicker back here, especially by myself. If I hook a fish, I can still chop the motor and then use it if I need to chase the fish around. And to do that by yourself with the bow mount, it's very difficult. At least that's what I found to have happen. So secondly, is to get my forward-facing sonar out. And this is one of those tools that once you have it, you really start to love it.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by B&R Tackle. Check out their new slide locks and trolling bumpers. Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, sponsored by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
I mentioned earlier about using forward-facing sonar and utilizing your standard sonar, right? So just a quick rundown on that. On the Ray Marine unit, its target separation is out of this world. It's insane. But it obviously doesn't give you real time like a forward-facing sonar will do. So to use them together, you'll see here in a little bit, I've got one unit that's just a standard sonar and a map, and then the other setup is for forward-facing sonar exclusively, right? I don't use it for any other thing other than that. So what I'm using on my primary sonar, which is my Ray Marine unit, is to see what's absolutely directly underneath the boat, because this live forward-facing sonar is actually looking back behind the boat, looking at my rods. So if I can see fish on my main screen on my sonar, then if I look over at my forward-facing sonar, I can see that fish transition from under the boat and get back towards my baits, which is just a little bit of an extra idea of what's actually going on. So again, with this thing, if I see him down here on my primary sonar, again, my Ray Marine, this is the Axiom 2, and it's in the 16-inch screen. If I see a fish in here, especially if it's in the zone of where I have my bait, which is 20 to 25 feet right now, and look back over here where I have both my rods, you can actually see them both right now, right there at 20 to 25 feet. If I can see that fish come in here, I already know ahead of time that there's actually a fish working its way back towards my baits. All it's really doing is just giving you another way that you can tell that if you've got something going on. And really, in the end, we're just utilizing technology, right? There's a lot of folks that don't like it. A lot of folks that thinks it's cheating. Well, we're not tournament anglers. We're trying to make meat for the family. It's just that simple. So I'm trying to utilize everything I can in order to get bit. So if I actually do things right, see that fish on my screen, know that maybe he's 10 or 12 feet lower than where my gear is, I can start stripping line to get that gear down there before he ever has a chance to get there. And the only way I knew that was by paying attention to my primary sonar. So use both of them. Don't just get stuck on your screen. And we all know that we do it, right? We all know that we stare at this stupid thing way too much, but there's good reason for it. And you know, maybe that's a good time to talk about, does it help you catch more fish? It's an expensive toy. Let's put it that way. Does it help you catch more fish? I think in the long run, you do catch more fish with it. Mainly because you know where to put your gear. And that's basically it. Other than that, my favorite part about it is I know where my gear is. I don't care what my line counter says on my reels. I just want to know where my gear is in the water column. Tells you everything. You can run very close to the bottom and be pretty much snag free, right? Because you're able to keep it right where you want it to be because you can see it real time. So is it cheating? No. Is it something that you have to have? No. Is it something that once you have it that you won't live without? Yes. And it's a pretty cool little toy. That's all I'll say. But that's all it is. I absolutely love it.
Outdoor GPS is sponsored by Hawken Fishing, Perfection in Fishing Gear, Ocean, and the Saltwater Sport Fishing Show, and by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest. Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, sponsored by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
So like I mentioned earlier, one of the things I wanted to talk about today while we're out here is, again, fishing by yourself, fishing solo, and how to be productive at it, right? And if you haven't fished by yourself before, obviously there's a lot of people that wouldn't even consider doing that. I've been doing it this way. I've been fishing solo longer than I can remember. And when I first started, I made a lot of mistakes and still do, because a lot of times you just forget things. Number one, have your boat set up the way you want it. But two, this is super important. This is where a lot of people kind of make a mistake when they are fishing by themselves, is they don't have their net positioned and ready to go, right? Now I'm actually lucky enough to have this little magnet thing that helps control my bag on the net. Not a huge deal once you're fighting the fish and get them up alongside the boat. But where it's a benefit is that when you do pick it up, the net's not going to be all balled up, right? So it's just laying in a position off my bow where I can reach over and grab it, because obviously you're going to have a rod in one hand and you got to grab that net with your free hand, the one that you're reeling with. And once I get that thing up, I just simply, and most of the time I don't do this consciously, but I do knock that bag off. And once I do that, I can set it on the rail so that it's actually sitting on one side here, and then the handle is on the other side, so it's laying flat, so I don't have to reach down to grab the net. Now again, hopefully by the time we're done with these segments for y'all, we actually hook something and I can show you how it all works. But the way this is set up now, the bag is dragging, fish comes up alongside the boat, I will not touch that net until I'm convinced that that fish is tired out, right? And in this warm water, that's a catch-22. You got to really pay attention, because if you have a wild on, I try not to put them into the net, because of course you got to let that fish go, and I want to get it loose quickly. But if it's a hatchery, of course, I will play that fish out. I'll run it like you're pike fishing. I'll keep the thing on the surface, making sure I get them tired out as best I can. Of course, I'm looking to see where the hook is in the fish's mouth. Once all that is said and done and I'm comfortable, that's when I'll actually pick up the net for the first time. And usually you don't get them on that first shot. You always end up taking a shot too soon. But again, if you can have a little control, keep your emotions down, which I have a hard time with that, as my buddies would say. Usually though, if you just don't grab it, just wait, you can get it up, get the net down in the water and get a good scoop. And here's a trick. When you actually do, decide to do it, you really need to have a net handle that's long enough where you can get it underneath your arm and have quite a bit of net behind it still more handle behind you, so that you have some leverage. So when you lift up, you can get that net down there and get it under the fish. And then remember to drop the rod tip and let that fish actually get into the net. Don't hold on to it, because you're not going to be able to lift that net by yourself with that bag in there, right? You got to remember to drop your rod tip, let the fish fall into the bag itself. Don't ask me how I know. I've screwed that up many, many times. But just a quick little tip, so that if you're by yourself, make sure that that net is positioned in a way that you can get to it easily with that rod in your hand and when pandemonium's going on. So again, just another little tip that if you do decide to do this solo, little things, right, make a huge difference. Another one, most of us have sliding rod holders. You're gonna have to get whatever side that you decide you're fighting a fish on, you need to get these things out of the way. Because if that's in the way of your net when you're trying to net it, it will cause a problem. It's not if, it absolutely will. Seems like it happens every time. Another thing that you want to pay attention to is where you're going to fight the fish, right? What side of the boat are you going to fight it on? Again, if you're by yourself, you have to think about all these things ahead of time. I do everything I possibly can to fight the fish on this side of the boat, which would be the right side, starboard side. I think that's right. Yeah, left side's port. Yep, the right side's starboard. Okay, I know what I'm doing. I'll do everything I can to keep it over here. I got no transducer in the water. I got nothing in my way on this side, but I got to get that rod holder out of the way. So just again, make sure that you're just thinking about all these things ahead of time. All right, so now I got both my rods out, and my theory, and it's just my theory, doesn't mean anything. With two rods, obviously you get a little bit of an advantage. Our limits are the same, nothing changes there. But utilizing the technology that we have, one's at 30 feet, one's at 35 feet, not a huge separation there for a reason. The fish come up and they take a look at these flashers, right? And you need the most amount of attraction that you can get so that they can see these things from a distance away. If I had one rod at, say, 30 feet and the other rod at 50 feet, now I'm not getting any benefit from the other flasher to the other flasher, if that makes sense. So if you keep them relatively close together, again, my theory, you got more action going on in a single area where you can get the fish to come in and let them decide if they want to take the lower one or the upper one, or preferably, which hasn't happened yet and I'm really looking forward to it, a double. And when you're solo and you hook a double, again, I haven't done it yet, I'm looking forward to seeing what actually happens. That's going to be pure chaos. Now I just completely jinxed myself, but that's my theory. So when I'm utilizing this tech, I want to be able to see where my gear is, which I can, because I can actually see both rods, and I can have both of those flashers working together to give more attraction to one zone. So that's, again, my theory. So now I'm literally just going to troll down river. I'm looking for the boats that are out, and once I start to find some fish, because that's exactly what will happen at some point, I'm going to run across a group of fish. And I really don't want to say this, but if I do find a group of fish, it is possible to stay with them with this technology. It's not easy, but you can do it. At least it'll tell you where they are, right? If they're midway in the column, are they on the bottom, are they up high, or are they just ripping right by? And you can also tell that too. When they come into your screen, either one of them, and are gone instantly, you know they're just traveling. So we'll see. Everyone gets hooked up on the speed, right? What speed are you going? How fast are you going? None of that matters. Whatever your fish finder's telling you as far as mile per hours go, just forget it. The most important thing is what your rod is doing. And right now I'm just trying to find my speed, get everything set so that I have that perfect rhythm in the rod tip, and that's all that matters. If my fish finder said I'm going 4 miles an hour, I don't care. But if I'm getting the same thump that I want, that's all I care about. And that's going to be because of tides, wind, whatever, that could change that. So I'm going to start out with one rod at 30 feet. And I'm fishing 14 ounces of lead. Okay. And if you look here, you'll see my rod tip thumping, right? That rhythmic thump. And I'd call that just about perfect. So, and I'm also going into the wind. So that's going to change things a little bit, but you can already see on the forward-facing sonar. Hold on a second. You can already see my gear on that rod right there. So now it's just giving me an idea of where I am in the column, right, in the water column itself. And anywhere between that 20 and 30 feet in the water column has been pretty consistent.
Outdoor GPS is sponsored by McMinnville Jeep Ram in the heart of Yamhill County, your home for Ram trucks. Experience the clear difference. Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, sponsored by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
This is one that people have asked about ever since I picked up this Willie Raptor. Now it's exactly 1 year old, a year and a month old now, all right? I think I've got just under 200 hours on it, and the question comes up all the time, how I have it set up and why I set it up this way. And to be very honest with you, I've been very, very lucky. I go through a lot of boats, and I'm able to kind of get an idea of what does work for me and what doesn't work. First thing we're gonna start out is the bow nest, right? The anchor nest. Every boat, no matter if I've got a bow mount on it or not, I've got an anchor nest set up to where I can have the bow mount on and the anchor, okay? This is great for obviously anchoring, but in the worst case scenario, if you lose power, the world comes to an end, whatever you want to call it, you can throw this anchor and at least stop yourself and keep yourself out of trouble. I've been there more than once. It's a safety feature. It never comes off my boat for any reason. But then with the bow mount, set that up so that I can actually get the bow mount deployed and the anchor does not get in my way, okay? Super important. But this is another feature that if you don't have one, you probably want one, and there's good reason for it. They're super, super user-friendly, and just a number of things that you can do to be fishier. They really are that useful. If you don't have one, it's well worth looking into them. All this stuff Portland Marine can line you up on. Doesn't really matter what it is that you're looking for. Other than that, very standard storage box up front. And as a matter of fact, while I got you right here, let me show you how we actually set up the lithium battery. One battery, 36 volt, onboard charger right in front of it. Everything is set up nice and clean and still have plenty of room to keep extra stuff up there. I just keep bumpers and some extra ropes. But keeping everything nice and neat and clean like this is super, super important. And there's hardly any weight in there. It weighs less than 2 regular batteries, and you have a full 36 volt system. And it's just a nice, clean setup. And then here in the fish box, quote unquote fish box, I don't actually use it for that. I use it for storage. I keep my flashers, pre-rigged baits, all my stuff that I have here for fishing spinners, a plug box, and then of course safety equipment, life jackets, throwables, all that kept up here or in the box itself. And then in here is where I keep a lot of extra stuff, rod holders, sea anchors, extra parts that I would use for the anchor system, but just great storage and layout, but very simple. There's ways that you can get crazy with your storage compartments. Custom boat builders like Willie, they'll build you anything that you want. And I used to do that a lot, but I've learned that the basics work great and it doesn't cost you any extra, and you can get everything done that you need to get done. Super important. Oh, also have a washdown pump up front. So there's one up front and one in the back so that I have 2 hoses in the boat itself. And then working your way back, super simple layout, just 2 seat boxes. And then this is my pedestal seat, the guide's chair. I don't sit down a lot, as you can tell. But I like to keep it as open as I possibly can, right? So that there's more room. You know, it's a big dance floor. You got to have as much room as possible. So I keep those seats up there, just 2 of them. It's easy, you could put 4 of them in if you want, but then you're just losing interior space. And I usually just fish by myself or with a couple of friends, so really don't need to have 5 or 6 seats in the boat. If I needed to, I can add stuff in. But in the end, I like to keep it wide open as possible. And then other than that, one of the things that I made sure that we always include in these boats is an aluminum floor, diamond plate floor. And then on the side here, I actually have rails. They act just like a gutter, right? It's just a rain gutter off your house that we added to the floor. It helps clear the deck of any water. Hopefully you don't take a water or a wave over the bow, but it can happen. And when you're cleaning the boat out, it makes it super, super nice on being able to get everything clean and clear. And then of course you got your lock box where I have my second Raymarine unit there. Typically I'll use both of these if I'm going to be on longer runs where I want to have a map and then a fish finder. So I do run them in conjunction. They're both linked together, so you can't have enough electronics. Or maybe you can. It's a whole other story. But again, very simple. Not a whole lot going on. You can get really elaborate with it. And of course you have your washdown, or excuse me, your hose right down there as well. And then in the back, where we set up the forward-facing sonar. It's a completely closed system, meaning that it has nothing to do with the Raymarine. It's all by itself, right? So this forward-facing sonar and the transducer, I can take it all off, get all this stuff out of the way if I wish to, but I keep it back here also on a slider, and my transducer for the forward-facing is also on a slider as well. So I can slide it all the way up to the front of the boat. If I've got 5 or 6 rods going, I can see them all. As opposed to if I only have it back here, I'm only able to see the back 2 rods. So if you do have a lot of rods going, it's nice to have the ability to change that location of the transducer so you can see more behind you. And in the end, if I do it right, I can get 4 rods on screen if I have that transducer up front. So it is an advantage to be able to move that thing as opposed to being, permanently fixed in the transom. Pros and cons to both, but it gives you the flexibility. I love that. And then of course on the back, there's a swim step. That's a safety feature in my mind. Underneath it, it has a ladder, of course, that pops down. Hopefully I never need to use that for an emergency situation, but that's why we add those to these boats, because if something bad did happen, at least you can get in. And when you're young and cat-like like myself, well, that's completely a lie. It's hard to get in here solo, so it's important to have something like that. And then in the back, the guts of it all is a 250 Yamaha SHO, and then the T99, wow, I am old. The T99 on an RK40 autopilot. Hot water washdown, of course, you gotta have that. And then the top loading rod lockers, it goes without saying, super, super important. I keep 10 rods in the boat at all times. 5 rods that are pretty much universal for steelhead, smaller species, whatever I might be fishing for. If I'm anchor fishing and I don't need, trolling rods, keep all my trolling rods on one side and the others over here. So 10 rods in the boat at all time. Lockable, of course, but without those, it's just a game changer. 100 years ago now, but it's something that you got to have. My one regret, and I'll make sure that I get this out there because it is the only regret I have, is that I didn't put another lockable storing compartment here on this side. I just didn't see the need for it. It was one of those things that you've had them in all the boats and it just never seemed to get used, and guess what you missed first? The one dumb thing that you changed. That's the one thing I still wish I would have put in this boat. But really, in the end, it's a pretty simple layout. I try not to get too crazy with it, and I'm very, very, especially with Drago, I don't want anything on the floor. No rods, no hooks, no leaders, nothing in the gunnels, nothing that he might get into. And that also falls down to when you actually get a fish in the boat. Luckily, he's smart enough, he goes up to the bow. But for you folks that use buckets and you put your fish in there, to bleed them, the bleed bucket, great idea, works fantastic. The one time that I did that, he tried to get into the stupid thing. So I don't actually do that in my boat. I still hang them on the side, bleed them out, and then put them into the bag. But again, I gotta show this. I went with the guide's transom. This is where the back part, the containers, the storage area, gets cut off a little bit, because I love the fact that I can get all the way back here into the corner and run this kicker, especially standing up. I love that feature. I missed it on my last couple of boats, but I made sure not to this time. And then of course, under here, all your switches and everything well up above the water line. Very, very, very important. If you ever get a boat, make sure that all your stuff is higher than the water line, just in case you did take water on for whatever reason. Just keep things, all the electronics safe. Got your Perco switch, different switch panels, and then back here, both my batteries, and then I actually put in another onboard charger. And you're gonna go, why do you have an onboard charger for your main batteries? Because they are actually tied in with my electronics. There are times where you might troll all day and not actually use your big motor, and that big motor will actually charge these batteries up, of course, right? But if you're not using it all day and you run those batteries down with all these electronics on, and you don't get a chance to run it long enough to recharge them, that just keeps compiling and piling and piling every time you take it up or take the boat out and not get it charged up enough. So all I got to do now, so I don't have to worry about it, because it was an issue, is another plug-in back here, plug it in, charge the batteries while it's sitting in the driveway. So again, still very, very basic, but a lot going on. And really the best advice I could give there when people ask questions about that is you need to talk to a professional, talk to the folks at Portland Marine. They can get you dialed in. At the very least, they can give you an idea of how to do things the right way. If you do it on your own or whatever you decide to do, but get the right advice from people that know what they do, or know what they're doing, not just me, because I really don't. I just let them do it all. But it is important. So nice, simple setup, nothing too fancy. So when you do go talk to them, or if you're interested in something like this, that's another reason to go and talk to the people that know, and then get a rough idea of what it is that you're looking for. There's a lot of different options for these things. And if you can kind of narrow it down, get what's important and forget about what isn't important, it can help out in the long run quite a bit. So hopefully this gives you just a quick idea of how I like my boat. Everyone's a little bit different, but it's super clean for the most part and keeps everything out of the way. In a 21-foot boat, that's really important. So again, that's the Willie Raptor. It's a 2184, of course, through Portland Marine. And then all these accessories, everything that you need to have done, they can take care of all that stuff for you as well. But simple setup, you don't have to get too fancy. Anyway, that's my boat. Hope you enjoyed it. Now stay out of my way when we're on the water. I don't want to have to follow you.
Outdoor GPS is sponsored by Yakima Bait, steeped in tradition, innovation, and fishing success. And by Procure Bait Sense, ruthlessly effective. Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, sponsored by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
All right, so we spent a few hours out here. As you can tell, the sun is getting pretty high, and the grass on this incoming tide got pretty bad. Talking to everyone, things were really slow today, and like I mentioned when we first got started, I put a camera in the boat and made sure to just kill all my options, right? But hopefully you had a chance to just get a quick idea of how I like to do this, how I like to do this style of fishing. And if you had a chance to see the rundown on the boat, that might give you some insight on what you might want to do with your boat in the future, or maybe just change up what you were thinking on a new boat going forward. But what can you do? It's fishing. You throw a camera guy in the boat and it's pretty much over. But it was a beautiful day. And if you're wondering why we're here with a recorded setup, I'm actually hunting ducks in Argentina, just to let you know. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Make sure you tune in next week for more Outdoor GPS right here on Rose City Sportsnet.
Thanks for watching Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, sponsored by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.